لا، هي بايثون اسمها.
You guys hear me?
Delayed a lot.
Hmm?
It's delayed a lot.
Really?
Just what you said you.
All right, cool. I'm just gonna give everybody a few minutes to get here and get started. All right, guys, we'll go ahead and get started here. KBLB was my only trade today, and I just had been watching this one for a while. I missed this whole run up because I was on vacation, but when I got back, I played this breakout in 26. I just had, all right, guys, we'll go ahead and get started here. KBLB was my only trade today, and I just had been watching this one for a while. I missed this whole run up because I was on vacation, but when I got back, I played this breakout from 26 up to the 30s, and then it re-broke out here, which was a better breakout. And I actually missed this because it was Friday afternoon. I wasn't at the screens, but pretty picture perfect move right to the whole number of 50. And then the last couple of days have been really choppy on it. I did long at this day too in the last hour. I started buying here, and then I averaged in with expectations to put myself in a position where if it gapped up and spiked up to like 70, I could capitalize. And if it failed, I could just sell for break even and then flop short for the first red day. And it didn't gap down, but the selling pressure was heavy at the open, so I sold at like 47, and then got short into this bounce and this bounce, and it faded off a little bit. But I never really got that crack of support of 40 that I was looking for. I wanted to cover in like 25 to the 30 range, but I never really got that, so I held overnight to close near its lows, and then it gapped up and spiked, and I covered up again right here, but then it faded off. And today I was going in with expectations for, I don't really even know, but either for a gap down I wanted to get short, and a gap up I wanted to get long, using the 40 as a risk because this was the support level right here, and this was like the turning point where if it gapped down and started losing 38, 39, I want to get short for the move down to the low 30s and the 25 area. And if it gapped up, I wanted to start getting long in the low 40s, risking green to red, and build into the 50 breakout and see if we could get the huge squeeze. This stock did have like a lot of shares available, so I was kind of rooting for the squeeze. And I kind of took conservative size on the short. I only got like 10,000 short at 38.6, and then I covered half of it at 30, and then I put it back on, and the figure's gonna go lower, covered up again at 29, and then I had 5K left, and I just covered it up over 32. That's what I was risking. All around, there's just a single. I made like around $600 on it. But, and then into the close, I'm watching HMPQ, which was a runner from Monday, I think. And so I really nice first green day news. Going on their ties. I'm waiting for like this high 120 level to get taken. For some nice goods here, it was 5. But probably my rest is holding it pretty well. So we'll see if that gets into the volume into the close. You guys have any questions about any of that stuff? No, Sam, as you're not using interactive brokers, I have center point and trade for longs, center point for shorts. The 28 gets taken out and risk on like 26, 27 area and see if you could get like 30. See if you get it up there. I mean, my layout right now is just I hit all my account numbers. This isn't usually like how my layout looks like. I usually have the screen is just E-Trade. I never have center point stuff on this. I have my positions box on E-Trade and then my order status, and then another chart usually down here. But this is really E-Trade stuff right here. And then I have other screens that I keep my center point stuff on. That's an INTV crypto mining plan. So the stock spiked from 10 cents to 40 cents. Which in the middle about 25-ish area. So, and it's consolidating below the middle area here. I want to see it above the 25 area, but this thing's pretty liquid too. It's just not very ideal. I hate Bitcoin and mining and all that stuff right now. It's all just failed momentum, honestly. They just have these charts that look so good and they can just randomly fail because of Bitcoin. So I'm trying to stay away from the Bitcoin stuff. I really just been trading KBLB and I've just been trading conservative. Been my only trade. BYST, yeah, I was watching that one this morning, but hey, they had some news yesterday about their revenues up like 4,500%. I did take a small position on it this morning at like 42 right here. I bought like 20,000 shares just to get my feet wet, and I sold out like 44 when I saw that KBLB was going to tank, so I could focus on that one. And it did have a really nice spike all the way up to 5 if you were able to capitalize on that. You saw the PR, not PR, but 8K that they filed. Yeah, I haven't even looked at that one yet. Nah, this is not ideal at all to me. I mean, it's not even have candles, it's just like randomly printing, low volume. it's the same kind of play as VYC, but VYC is better because it's more of a trend, it has better action. So I wouldn't play this now. If this thing had consolidated up here and had a tight range over VWAP all day, like this, it's just, I hate this. This is terrible. It needs to be staying over VWAP. So this is no play for me. Yeah, that's correct. I'm using Thinkorswim charts with E-Trade level 2. I like the E-Trade level 2. It's what I've been looking at for a while now, so I have a good feel on it. I like it a lot more than the center point level 2. Lento wants me to go over an ideal long trade. Ideal long trade, Fred was decently ideal yesterday. I actually missed this one. But this is just a stock that was making new highs, and it's at all-time highs up here, I think. Yeah, all-time highs. On my room and the other, but it was consolidating. Look at these wicks. It was holding right up near its highs for 3 days. Nice consolidation. And then yesterday, this is super ideal. You get the morning spike and it goes sideways all along VWAP all day. And then you get the volume through the 420 level. And if you buy here, if you buy some sides here with risk on 4, and then you consolidate to VWAP all day, then you can add over here with risk on VWAP. And then you can just have fun selling all afternoon into the strength. And then don't swing anything overnight because of a weak close. You don't want to be swinging stocks that have a weak close, and the market that we're in it's not ideal to be swinging something that closes weak like that. But you could have definitely played this just like the front side of the move. You don't want to be like, this is a clear trend break when this candle comes in, makes it not ideal. But that's an ideal intraday breakout. In my opinion, super ideal.
Forgot, so you can hear it ceiling. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm not gonna change anything outside of the music. I know this is kind of important, but I know there's a lot of conversation. Well, first off, how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Did you guys end up being profitable on SCNX? How many of you guys got to watch SCNX? Yesterday, like my comments, someone else's comments, like I know you guys, a lot of people were in Jack's webinar, I was as well, which amazing job for him for the $3 million trade. I didn't hear all the details to it, but yeah, that was pretty dope. Okay, so let's talk through SCNX, right? And I want to walk you guys through the maturation of the process in which I actually mapped it out, within the challenge, which is why it's so imperative that, like I say, you pay attention to the wording, you pay attention to the context of the wording from the right people. And I'm giving you guys direction on like, who is that, right? So myself included, because of being, guru status. And I've always said this about myself. The fact that for whatever reason, the standard is $1 million, right? Everybody wants to make that $1 million, but in reality, that's not a lot of money. And, for some, don't get me wrong, I want to keep it in perspective. As you get into these worlds, you have to get comfortable with these types of conversations. And so just understanding that if you're able to obtain that, you will see how few dollars that is, right? In different spaces. But for the context of that being the standard in here, and I've yet to obtain that on a trader level, but still within the red. That should say something about the information that I give. So when I get the rebuttals or the questions or whatever, I'm all for that, so long as it's coming from the right people or there's justification in it. But at the same time, there needs to be an understanding of like, man, like, okay, this dude must be, he's here for some reason. Let me not get into all this, pissing contests or standing on a pedestal too long, right? So from what I said, and I want to show what this was, what this looks like, he's fine. Let me show you that. We're going back into the chat. Oh, let's see. And there was a lot of comments, right? Again, to show you guys how to get to them quickly, you just have to just scroll, right? And so if you go to the ticker chat history and type in the ticker, you'll be able to see it pretty clearly. So let's see. Okay, so this is it right here. So plus 400 for me on the live webinar trade yesterday on GWH swing, flat on BYNB, squeeze attempt this morning from 309, thinking 11 a.m. reversal, like Sean and J Ray, but I don't have the time managed. SCNX will likely be the focus in the afternoon. So when that comment is made, it's not a comment to engage you guys into the trade, right? It's a comment to engage into why I'm saying that. And that again is the perspective that you should be taking on each and every trade. It's each every potential trade. It's not the focus of there's the alert, that's what I need. It's more of understanding, hey, why is he looking at that? Or why are they looking at that? Right. And so I literally got that information from the chat room because again, like I always say, I go in and I see people talking about certain stocks, and I may comment, yay or nay, but I'm checking them to get verification. Now, that verification is a very quick process for me now, but overall, that process is still the same time and time again. So I just want to walk you guys through exactly what I did to get to the conclusion and, of course, the profits that I ended up getting to, right? And so I'm looking at it and I see SCNX. So when I see SCNX, I take it and I immediately go to the daily chart. When I go to the daily chart yesterday, the stock may have been at like 120, 140. And we'll go to the intraday momentarily, but this is the daily chart. But the first thing that I noticed was the stock was green candle daily and that it had volume, right? So it's like, okay, outside of anything else, there's a tension on the stock with a tremendous amount of volume. Like I said, it was about 350 million at the time at $1.20 level, right? That's a lot of volume. And so the first thing that I would say for you guys is that you have to learn how to put in your mind and Jack talks about this as far as like he doesn't really write anything down. I don't do it either because again, it's so imprinted in my mind of saying like, yep, this is what I'm looking for and how it should be. And that's like relative to the stock, right? To where, and I talked on a webinar very thoroughly about this. If the volume for a dollar stock, say $1.20, we'll use that, is only at 2 million, you're likely not gonna get a lot of movement on that stock. So what does that mean for you guys as entry, exit, and just success probability? In order for you to get into a stock, you have to have liquidity. And so if you want to get into a stock in the right levels, you cannot be the only one purchasing or selling that stock. Because if you purchase it, you're likely going to move the volume because you are the volume. You want to think of it like there's a big wave of momentum of water, and I'm simply just diving in the water and just letting the current pull me along. But I have to get into the right level of the current, or I could potentially drown, right? And so think of it like a moving train. It's a huge moving train. And if I don't jump inside of the right door, I could get my head cut off, which we've seen time and time again. And so you're like, wow, okay, you're using waves, you're using oceans, you're using trains. This is pretty volatile, scary stuff. That's the point. I'm using it because if you don't know what you're doing, or if you haven't seen it enough, it can be very intimidating, one, but it can also be very detrimental, two. But when you see it again and again and again, it's like a surfer. Those giant waves they surf, the reason they go out there because they have this conviction and confidence in knowing what they're doing. Now, you can be a complete idiot and just get out there like the old show Jackass and just, for giggles and laughs, but you could end up dying. Financially, you can end up dying with these stocks. So understanding that ratio and what it means and what type of volatility are we looking for is very, very important. Like, did I explain that okay? Like, are you guys like fully aware of that? Like, am I explaining that part okay? Okay, cool. So it really is about identifying the right stocks. And so we haven't done that yet. That's all I got, and I want to be clear about that. But identifying the right stocks with that process of ratio, volume, and understanding. So when I'm looking at the level two and I'm seeing that type of volume and the price action is jumping around and it's holding and it's building and it's doing all these things, here's where I have the reservation for myself. When I go to the intraday, and now it looks very, very small. And I see that this stock is up 840, and then we go into right here, into the middle of the day, and it's 1030. Now, I've gotten very, very more disciplined with my trading of like 1 to 2 trades at the most in the morning time before the hour of 1030, because ideally I'm seeing it then, right? But if I'm building a position or if I'm thinking about, maintaining, like I've said, just understand you're probably not going to get the move that you want at the time that you're trading the trade, right? I'm going to get to that momentarily. But when I see it here, and then I see it start to push here, I really have no desire whatsoever to trade it. But I'm simply tracking and saying, okay, that's noted. It still has pop. It still has it. But because of the time of day being closer to midday, let me go back and do some due diligence to make sure that I'm on point with everything. So I go back to the daily immediately. And again, guys, I'm extrapolating this process, but I do this stuff very, very quickly because of like the repetition that I've had again and again and again, right? So when I look at this and I see that volume, again, these are my sells and these are my buys. This for anyone that's interested. When I see this volume, I immediately start to look to the left and I say, okay, are there any other days of history, historical information that I can see that gives me some sense of predictability? I can definitely trade it without it, but I want to see if I can get some sort of conviction, because depending on the history, it's going to give me a sense of when I need to trade it, how I need to trade it, what do I need to take into factor, right? So when I don't see anything immediately as I'm scrolling, the first thing I run into is this gap down. So when I see this gap down, I'm like, okay, this could be a potential problem. The gap, we're trading at 121. He's pushing back, but Will Roar, nice. I see you still tracking. Are you military? Normally military individuals are saying tracking, but okay, cool. So when I take this trade, it's minimal again, guys, and I'm just testing the water. I ain't said nothing about no VWAP. I ain't talked about none of that stuff. This red line here, I just don't I don't move these things, but I reference it and I'll give you icing on the cake or clarity when I get to that statement. Thank you for your service, man. So anyways, so as this getting here, if anything, I'm gonna buy it off the dip. Boom. You see my buys here. It's closer to 130, or it's starting to get to 130. But again, it's not an exact science, but I'm trying to be more disciplined, but it's giving me opportunity here. When I first did it, I actually was kind of upset at myself and I was like, let me really tone this down. But I'm adding it to my position because now I'm like, okay, I've seen enough support to where I don't want even my position to be in the 130s or 140s. I want it still in the 120. So let me take this risk here, still having that 20-cent risk. So I go from there. And now this is where conviction starts to take over. When I look between 120 and now all the way up to 240, it is nothing but consolidation. Give me a hell yeah if you can see the consolidation on a 5-minute level with this stop. I'm going to show you on a 15-minute level. Can you see the consolidation on this stop? I don't really see it here. I see support. But do you see the consolidation with support on a green day, high volume, and good price action? Do you see how I stack that? Like, give me a hell yeah if you can see that. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing. So take everything that I did in the morning of referencing the stock to where I bought it initially, and this is what it means to prove to me. It's proving to me that it's doing what it's supposed to do. Now, let's say that I wasn't in the stock. I'm just looking at it because I've done it from that position before. I would have still seen the same information. So do you see how the process is the same? The only thing that I wanted to tie in because of the position and size that I wanted to take was I need to get emotionally vested into this with the money. Again, that's a more high level things, but I'm just trying to give you guys all angles of perspective so that you truly understand what I'm looking at and what you should be looking for. Tito AZ, I see you. Shout out to Drake, the old Drake, and Wizard and Weezy. So with that consolidation, here's where the other conviction comes in, and this is why I say it the way that I do. That's 1 on the dip buy, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 11 candles at the 15-minute mark. Going into the afternoon with only approximately an hour and a half remaining on a day with crazy volume that's still coming in, holding those levels, seeing the volatility, and potentially getting back to the highs. Now, if I wasn't in the stock, I would have been looking for this. Immediately when I see this jump, I likely would have taken it at the 138, 140 level. I would have had a limit order, say like 142. And when I saw that jump, I would have jumped in and probably got executed around 138, 142. But I didn't want to do that because, again, I'm honing in on the skills of doing this because I want to continue to always get better at these people that get in at these levels, not from a guessing game, but from seeing it over and over again, because this isn't happening for the first time, nor will it happen for a second time. So when I see that, I'm like, man, I've seen this again and again. Let me try this process. I can't tell you how many times I've failed at it, doing the wrong things or not doing it as well. But all that practice turns into this. So now I'm in my position. I have 2,700 shares. That's what I want to take on because I know that if this can move, it's going to give good gains. And I deliberately don't talk about the size of my position because I want you to see how consistent the process is. Because I know Tim does it for you guys, but many of us don't for the simple fact of it's just a wow factor for you guys. But whether I'm trading 10 shares, I would divvy it up a certain way. Now that I have the information that I do, I wouldn't have done it like that. I just take the 10 and move on because again, I've seen that type of gain or know what that is. But your risk is your risk. Your size is your size. You run your race at your pace with that. Like even what I look at, like that wasn't a very big position for me. But knowing what it could potentially do and the momentum and getting to the end of the month, I don't want to lose profits like I've typically done in the past with certain things, right? So I sit there and I size it in. And once I see this, I just sit back because now time is a factor against the shorts. Time is a factor against the momentum. There's not enough time for this to fall through. It can surely just die, but I'm more comfortable because I've seen 15 minutes of support. I've seen this consolidation that's built into support. And now we're at a stage where the momentum should take over along with shorts, right? So let me know if you guys are still following. Yes or no, or any questions off of that. Let me go back and read. So New Baby asked me, what is your discipline? I don't understand what that means. Like, what is your discipline? Discipline is discipline. Like, what do you mean? What is my discipline? Just rephrase that for me. Okay, so I'm gonna I'm appreciating the yeses, guys, but I'm gonna call some of you guys out because again, you're telling me yes now, but then when we get into like live trading or I see it, it's like you guys like go like what's the word? You just forget. It's almost like you forget. And so that's telling me that either the information is not sinking in or you're panicking with information that you shouldn't even be paying attention to. But again, if you're seeing this again and again and you're tracking it and you're following, this stuff should start to like it should start to be able to become applicable. So that's all I'm referencing with that, right? So anyways, we'll move on. So deer in headlights, Tito AZ, got you. Okay. Tito AZ, let's be specific. Let's not just say shit for the sake of like what is the deer in the headlights? Will World, you don't go brain dead when you're trading. You as a military guy know that. It's about execution. It's about repetition. It's about simplifying the information. Don't give me that. If you've identified that, now we need to work on. Dub trade, if you would have saw a 15-minute candle finish below VWAP, how would you have affected your thesis? Again, I'm not focused on VWAP. I'm focused on the support. Look at the support. The support isn't even near VWAP. I'm focused on the support. Too many of you guys rely on those technicals and it's throwing your trading off. Like you guys aren't as advanced to even like reference that type of stuff yet. Like I said, I know Jack uses the MACD and all these other things, but like he's trading on a whole nother level. Like big dollars, like and fundamental stocks at that. And like I'm telling you, when he was first starting, it wasn't no MACDs, it wasn't any of that. I'm trying to keep you guys where you are. Like a baby can't drink soda. A baby can't drink, Sunny Delight, which is not even orange juice. Like you need water and milk. So stick with the milk. So the support is at 120. The VWAP is at 114. If I see this trading down here, that's a whole nother thought process. So you're telling me a 15-minute closes behind here, I would have been talking to you a whole different way. So like understand what I'm talking about and stay focused. Gotcha. Okay, so you're a deer in headlights as the trading, right? So we just need to to slow this down and get you into a point where you can see this stuff clearly. And that's what I'm doing. So like your candles, timeline, and chart will give you better perspective on that. Okay. But I appreciate that. So you're good. So now when it starts to roll, this is where like my urgency takes over. Cause like you've seen profit, but you have to get into the sense of let me read the candles and see what's going on. So as I'm reading the level 2, I know resistance is gonna get snappy around the high day because shorts are involved and like this is where they make money in banks. So you gotta understand like that's gonna happen. So one or two things happen. I'm either selling along the way, which that's why I asked you what the higher day was 172, or I'm allowing it to play itself out. With my experience, seeing the volume, seeing the price action, I'm letting it play itself out. I get to that point. So once it gets up to here, and then it starts to push down, I really start to take, like, okay, I have to take into consideration the whole number, and it's coming from the 120s. I get that we see these stocks go to $6, $7, $8, but for the most part, you guys have to get your head wrapped around that these are gonna make $1 to $2 moves, $1 to $2 moves. You will get the outlier, 5, 6, 7, 50, 100, but you are gonna make your money on these so that when you do make your money, now you see this and you simply scale it. I'll give you an example. Sean 95 made $12,500 and held nowhere near to the 260s or the 3s. All he's doing is scaling position. So he's taking the same process and just making bigger size with it. From time to time, that's what I'm doing. Once I see like bread and butter setups, this wasn't a bread and butter setup, like a first green day for me, but for Sean, that was 12,500. That's why you can't get enamored with the numbers because he's just scaling the position. That's it. So again, this is not to dilute what he's doing because it's amazing. It's not to dilute anybody from what they're doing that's making bigger dollars, but just understand how they're getting to it. So he's taking less of a move with more size and position because of what he understands. So that's why you don't need all of this. That's why you shouldn't expect all of this. For me, I was expecting and pushing more because of the plan, but I still took some understanding like what I can get out of it. So and all I'm trying to do is give you guys perspective on all of it. Perspective on all of it. That's it. So I get into the whole number. I start to sell. I sell some at the high of day, which is 170 again. And then I sell through 198 to 2. Now I'm starting to chomp down that position. I get it over here to this side. I start to still, I put it at 217. Like I always say, this is 15-minute candle. Let me go back to the 5. Like I always say, I'm trying to, so you see the 4 sales right here. So it's broken down to 5-minute candles. So this vertical move, and this should give you guys clarity on a successful trader of what he's abusing the dumb traders on. And I don't say dumb to you guys, I'm just saying that general perspective. When you guys think that you're doing something like buying into these surges, like most of you guys are trying to do as far as chasing the stock or thinking like you're buying momentum or a breakout, here's what I am doing. So take what I'm doing and multiply that by hundreds of other traders who are successful, still within a 10% range, because we have a 90% failure rate. And we are literally giving you what we don't want anymore because we know where it come from. Like that example alone should give you so much perspective on like the thought process. I'm buying it here. Somebody bought it down here. Somebody's bag holding it down here. And now we're dumping those shares at the right time of day at the close. But most are thinking, oh, this can go higher because it's near the end of the day. Wrong. It halts. It actually drops. I didn't even expect this. When the halt came, I told you guys, I actually expected it to go more nutty. The fact that it still came up and gave me another opportunity was even more disappointing. Right? But I've sold a bulk of it. So I'm holding, I think, 1,000 shares now of this. I've already locked in more. So when I get here, my thesis on it, well, hold on, let me stop because this is important. Do you understand this example of this vertical and what I'm selling and what most successful traders are selling into strength, and how your weakness or people's weakness is they're buying into strength? Like, is that registering for you guys? And like, this is why I like that it charts it like this, because it truly helps you see, like, from a picture standpoint, like, this is what's happening in real time. Millions and millions of shares. This, I get it. The green candles, but this has to be done down here into the support, everything else. You may win from time to time on this, but guys, this is not a recipe of success. Having blue candles into this high up, is not a recipe for success. Yeah, dub trades, you want to buy into weakness and sell it to strength, but it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. Like, you have to understand that it's not weakness in a sense. It's a build of where the buys are happening. It's building up. So it's actually strength. This is the true weakness, because extending, like, just think about it. I use this example all the time, and I'm going to use it again because if you've heard it already, be quiet. But it's eye-opening, right? I'm 5'10". I can dunk the ball, or I could dunk the ball. I can't dunk the ball anymore. I can still touch high on the rim, right? Even with a bad knee. I digress. But I'm 5'10". It takes all my might to jump up and dunk the ball, right? So I have to jump from the floor, the base, and jump all the way up to the rim, which is 10 feet high. When I extend myself like that, it is a huge risk of falling on my back or falling on my face or just falling, period. Right? But there it is. So when that happens to me, I understand that if I'm going to jump like that, I better be prepared for something bad to happen quickly, whether it's somebody undercutting me, because again, my legs don't touch that far to the ground. I'm not that close. Shaq is 7 feet tall. He's 7 feet. He can literally extend his arm and maybe a couple inches away from already being at the basketball goal. The resistance. He's very calm, cool, and collected when he even just bounces off the ground because he's right there at it. He's a bigger base of support than what's already under him. So taking that example, think exactly in that context. There is support. There is resistance. The base is down here. When you start to get to higher resistance or more vertical, you are risking a tremendous amount of your capital, of your hard-earned money, because of where it's coming from. So when you look at the trade, think of the sense of how far is this extended versus where I'm seeing clear consolidation and support. Each and every time. You should be doing that each and every time, guys. Because again, it is so hard to understand this concept, because the fear of missing out, the money itself, the conversation, it takes over and it really throws you off. It truly throws you off. And I get it. It makes you believe that something is there that is really not, or even worse, it makes you believe that it's okay to take this little risk, not realizing how big that risk is. So when this happens, guys, this is what it looks like. So now, one moment. What's going on? Oh, wow. BYND is spelling. This sucks. Uh, let me see. Let me look at this. So you'll see this in real time again. Looking at. So support was 280s potentially. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. It was down here. I'm gonna give it a chance to reverse if possible. If it gets to the 260, then I'm out. Off the whole number, but yeah, it seems like it's failing. I just gotta keep my phone up. I got lost in conversation. Sorry about that. Okay, getting back to it real quick. Let's keep going with it. So let's read the questions. Yes, you want to buy into weakness. I think we see a ton of posts in here of people showing buy into trades and creates FOMO. Yeah, I mean, that's like saying I see a lot of people on the news, Eric, shooting up people. That doesn't mean I want to do it. That doesn't mean you need to do it. Like, look at the news every day. It gives us bad news every day. But like that's a discipline issue. That's on you. Like it's not the fact that you need transparency. It's the fact that you need to really truly assess and build your confidence to know that, hey, that's not the right way to do it. We apply it every day in human life. We apply it every day in whatever you do. You being successful, I believe, in construction or something like that. You mean to tell me you don't see yokels every day in the construction industry doing the wrong things, but somehow, some way, you're able to avoid it? Like, you have to apply that with the right mindset. It's no different than in here. The reality is people are paying a lot of money to come in here and unfortunately bullshit around. How is that any different in life? There's a lot of people that go to the gym every day and they ain't doing nothing. There's a lot of people that have been going to the gym for years and months and they literally go into the gym wanting to talk to everybody. There's literally people that go to work and they just literally want to goof off. So you can't use that type of excuse for what you're trying to accomplish. Narrow your focus, find the correct information, and start to evaluate it and assess it from there. But don't give yourself that lazy excuse. So it's just steadily going. Jeez. There is no bounce. This is terrible. Fridays. I'm successful on the Friday though, amazing. I already tested. Let's see, testing 260s. Still flopping. Hold on one second now. Okay. I'm gonna set a button. Okay, perfect. All right. So the only reason I was looking at that to see if it was gonna bounce at the 270 level, which again, because it was a green day, I think like it's still SSR, so I don't know if it can go that far, but I'll explain that later. But anyways, so yeah, so like don't give yourself that excuse, right? So let's keep moving on. This is a great example. It makes more sense of what has happened. I don't remember seeing this before, like it. Yeah, I mean, it's something, it's like anything that's new. Like you have to be aware of it first. And once you become aware of it, now you can start to train yourself to pay more and more attention, becoming aware. I had bought in the same place as you did, but I cut from the fear of the low volume and missed out. I was so beaten, terrible trade for me. It's about understanding time of day again. Like that's the factor that you're missing. But looking at the information prior to the morning and where it is now, that's where you get to the assessment like, okay, this is the right stock based on these things here. And then I'm starting to see the momentum build. So you shouldn't expect crazy volume during the middle of the day because again, people are on break, they're eating lunch, they're doing a lot of other things. They're on these webinars, they're on social media. but you should understand the patterns because of the information that's already been seen and that's evolving out. Tito AZ, I mean, DVLT is like, is that really as important as what I'm saying right now, dude? Come on, like lock in. Like it's 10:55 anyways. Like lock in. Get off of the DVLT conversation. Let's like this here is going to help you make more money than watching DVLT. The first buy is the most difficult. Support at 1030 and the L2 helps you recognize your first entry on SCNX. So to support at 1030 wasn't like the overall overlaying theme of it, I guess, per se. It's first identifying the daily candle and seeing like the price action in itself, like how good the price action was. Then I like get to the intraday and everything like that. So yeah. Ari K, no, I never buy the higher day breakout. I never do that. Have I done that? Yes, in my earlier years, but that's the point of evolving. Like I'm telling you guys, like I think you're the one that does that. Like you, yeah, and that's why I get quiet when somebody like has that conviction of those types of things because I'm just waiting for it to play out. Like just tell me how good or like how good that's been working for you. I'm not saying that it can't work. I'm just saying consistency isn't there. Like if you listen to any successful trader, like they're not typically buying the higher day because I mean there's so much resistance there outside of the consolidation that's happening. So yeah, I don't see that as a formal way of doing things. Yeah, I don't care, Eric. Like, all right, well, okay. So before we do this, before I say this, again, this understanding, we've had conversations, understand your personality. You don't have to extrapolate or explain things to me. I'm gonna lay this out for you. All I'm saying is that do not give yourself the clarity or excuse trying to clarify what you think is happening in the room. All I'm saying with that is there are plenty of excuses in this chat room to focus on certain things, the posts and everything else. But it is in correlation with life in itself. There's so many opportunities to give ourselves the excuse of people doing things wrong, pretending to be somebody who they aren't, saying that they're doing something successful, but it really isn't happening. Just apply that same approach of focusing on what you need to do into this room with the people that has identified themselves consistently as being profitable or successful. That's all I'm saying with that. Leave it at that. I did buy into strength. Are you specifically not to buy on green candles or mainly consider where the support is? It's both. So I'm looking at where the support is and where I'm buying. Like look at this gap. Like look how like there's no red candles in this, right? Like there's not even a slight pullback. And this is a 5-minute candle, right? So for 5 minutes, for one, two, this is thin. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 20 minutes. 20 minutes of spiking. Like how many stocks have we been in that we've seen 20 minutes of spiking? Not many, right? So when you get that type of movement, you have to understand like there's gonna be an eventual pullback. If one doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But again, it's about risk reward. So it's not that you can't buy into it, but it's also an understanding of you want to try to buy off of it, off of the strength, not into the strength. Where like if you take this dip by here, look, this dip all the way down to here to the 180s. Look to the left. Where does that hold at? It's not a coincidence. This is the high. This is the resistance. So now it's a 10-cent risk of this falling through to where if it keeps falling, even from here, it's now from 170 to 50. It's a 40-cent risk. But if you buy up here at the 260 at the end of the day, that is literally $1 risk from no sign of any sort of dipping, no sign of any sort of pullback. Buying up here, just look at it. Look at that gap. That's not support. This is not support. This is not support. It is just candles spiking up.